Imagine if humans came with emotional warning labels. These labels would map the weight and history people carry just beneath the surface. We all deal with difficult interpersonal moments. You've probably sat across from a highly defensive coworker, a teammate who stays painfully quiet during meetings, or an overachiever who aggressively takes over every project. Our human instinct is to judge those outward behaviors. We label the quiet as disengaged, the defensive one as arrogant, the overachiever as showing off. By reacting strictly to that outward armor, we end up locked in endless cycles of conflict and disconnection. Everyone leaves the interaction emotionally exhausted. We may be misreading the situation entirely. These frustrating behaviors are often misunderstood survival strategies, a protective mechanism operating right underneath. Outward behavior is often unspoken communication, hiding behind a shield. What looks like arrogance is often fear. What looks like silence is often survival. Take the office clown. The person who is always joking might actually carry a label that says, uses humor to hide deep anxiety. Or the colleague who needs absolute control over every detail. Their label reads, feels unsafe when faced with uncertainty. Then there is the person who stays completely quiet in meetings. Their label warns, has learned that speaking up carries dangerous consequences. And when someone snaps or becomes immediately defensive to feedback, you might be reading a label that says, becomes defensive when experiencing underlying shame. Most people carry hidden emotional histories. The behaviors we judge most harshly are often just their attempts to protect themselves from past wounds. Moving from intuitive observation to true understanding requires a structured lens. Dr. Shungu developed the 6 stages framework to help us see the architecture behind these emotional blueprints. This framework places behavior on a continuum, not a fixed identity, but a survival strategy. Mapping this traces outward reactions down to inward triggers, showing how anger connects to grief or silence to fear. This stops the question, what is wrong with this person? Empathy is built by replacing judgment with curiosity. We ask instead, what happened to them and what do they need to feel safe? There is a crucial boundary here. Understanding the emotional root of a behavior does not excuse harm, toxic actions, or abuse. However, empathy changes how we internally process that harm. It lets us recognize the other person's fear without absorbing it into our own emotional space. That brings us to the mirror. If everyone we meet is carrying an invisible emotional history, we have to acknowledge our own. The goal of this awareness is not to force the immediate removal of our emotional labels. It is simply to recognize they exist. Awareness breaks the cycle of reflex. When we see our own patterns, we gain the ability to choose our reactions, creating the opportunity for growth. If you were wearing an emotional warning label today, what would it say? We start by identifying the protections we use today. From there, we can consciously choose the emotional label we want to grow into